Hey CIG and Star Citizen fans, it's Galoith here, and I wanted to take the time today to talk about some recent news. As many people know, a Star Citizen backer attempted to refund from the game via small claims court. Since the backer was not really prepared to take on CIG's legal representatives, he lost. Now, instead of focusing on the legal side of things, I think it's incredibly important to focus on why the backer wanted a refund in the first place. For those who haven't been following the disgruntled backers started to experience hand tremors that are getting progressively worse, and due to further delays, he felt that he would no longer be able to play the game when it was released. So in other words, he wanted a refund on the basis that he would no longer have the dexterity to aim at targets accurately. For those of you who have been around since the beginning of Star Citizen's official launch of AC version 0.8, aiming used to be an accurate and fun affair that was more or less in line with modern flight sims aim requirements despite having auto-aim. Remember, modern fighter jets used a centralized weapon with a large saturation zone which provided a generous chance to hit, as most enemy aircraft did not need many hits to be down. On the flip side, most modern fighter jets have a very deep and challenging flight mechanic. Now, despite the easy gunnery system back in AC version 0.8, the mouse and keyboard, joystick, and even gamepad were all controllers used competitively. Another thing to point out is that joystick and gamepad users had perfect gimbal control via free pie scripts compared to today's look-ahead mode. On top of all that, head tracking works so amazingly that TrackIR was sold out on Amazon and on the Natural Point website because players could easily hit targets with gimbals using their head. Now, since head tracking had become so popular, people also started using their webcams with FaceTrack Noir freeware to control gimbals with their face. However, CIG wanted to increase the aim requirement, so 4 months later, they introduced AC version 0.9. This changed everything. Head tracking, face tracking, and gamepad for competitive PvP all died in one patch. On top of that, all joystick players weren't in a good place as well, since joysticks were not precise enough to hit that tiny lead indicator. Hearing the cries of the community, John Pritchett introduced ESP, Enhanced Stick Precision, and also look-ahead mode and target focus in AC 0.9.2. While CIG attempted to improve a player's ability to hit targets with ESP, they completely missed the problem. The problem was that CIG developed a gunnery system that was never designed to be used with joysticks. The idea that a joystick was supposed to chase this tiny lead indicator or move this tiny leg pip was never part of the design. They were designed to provide a pilot with the most flight control possible to put the target in a kill zone and to keep themselves out of the enemy's kill zone. In other words, joysticks were designed for flight and for movement, not for aim. Now, those of you who have been around for a while know that I've had a successful past in Star Citizen. While playing with CIG Bayer, before he became a dev, I actually achieved the highest unbroken score in Arena Commander history. Additionally, I have led many patches with some of the highest KDs and damage ratios out there, with 2.6.1 being the most recent one. However, this wasn't without cost. As top pilots will tell you, I went through 9 broken X-55 Rhinos and even a TM Warthog to get there. That is how demanding the current gunnery system is. What is less talked about is the damage done to my right hand for playing Star Citizen, since the aim requirement is so ungodly high. Now, the point of bringing up my past isn't to brag, but to talk about the toll that our control devices and our bodies take because of the poor gunnery system. Maybe CIG Toast will add an indemnity clause from physical harm to the next term of service agreement. Okay, I kid. Okay, I don't kid. Now, the point I'm making is that CIG went simply too far with these tiny lead and leg pips that they implemented in AC 0.9. The clearest example of how poor gunnery in Star Citizen is the fact that turrets, which are all about gunnery, are in an absolute state of despair. Turrets are in such a poor state that they've been brought up by CIG devs on ATV. But again, these developers seem to be forgetting that the problem originates at the gunnery level used on the ships as well, not just this turret-only issue. Like I've said in previous videos, it's been 3 years and 8 months since the last major gunnery update from CIG, and we have yet to have these massive barriers of entry removed from combat because of the poor gunnery system. There is zero plug and play for players using joystick, and worse yet, gamepads don't even have a prayer because the gunnery system is so difficult. So bad is the gunnery system that CIG maybe should remove the control input from the game, as they are utterly misleading to potential backers. While I hope CIG continues to put resources into ESP, I believe CIG needs to design a new gunnery system that doesn't solely rely on ESP. Even if some people cry foul that the new gunnery system is too easy, stick to it, as the average player needs it if you're going to grow the PvP community and encourage PvEers to give it a try. Remember, I used to be a PvE player, but I got hooked on AC 0.8.0. Remember, CIG, the average player needs to be successful at least 30% of the time in competitive PvP if you want them to continue to play. Right now, they're lucky if they can kill another player in competitive PvP 5% of the time if they're fighting a good pilot. You know, people are fine getting killed 1, 2, 3 times, but for them to get killed 5, 10, 15 times in a row without a single victory against another player, this really causes them to give up. And this is why we're starting to see this massive divide between PvP players and PvE players. And that's because the PvE players simply don't have a quick plug-and-play ability to defend themselves. In order to defend themselves, they'd have to have perfect in-game curves, perfect out-of-game curves, they'd have to have perfect control inputs, they would have to have tons and tons of practice just to even have a basic monicum of hitting the target. And in order for these PvE players to be able to do that, they have to stop doing what they like to do, and that's anything but PvP. So if you really want to get people involved, you have to put it at their fingertips if they're ever going to give it a chance. In closing, had CIG overhauled the gunnery system years before, this very disgruntled backer that I mentioned earlier probably would have never have existed. So CIG, it's time to get a plan put together on how to drastically improve the gunnery system, get it on a timeline, and start building it out. These little micro changes we are seeing are just simply not enough. Many backers have provided plenty of examples on what you can do. Now it's up to you. If you liked the video, please give me a thumbs up. If you didn't like the video, thumbs down, and I will see you guys in the verse. Goliath out.